Well, that was quite an introduction, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to share my screen so everyone can see what we are heading into for this evening. My name is Michelle LeWay. I am a Distinguished Toastmaster in District 47. I'm so happy to see so many smiling faces. Cece, you must have had a lot of caffeine today. You're my girl. We are going to have an exciting, fun time this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I promise. And we will get this started. We are lucky to have another fantastic Toastmaster be my partner in crime. Granted, we're teaching you how to be judges, but she is my partner in crime. Toastmaster, Distinguished Toastmaster Kendra Munroe from the Bahamas. You are getting this training from 2 different countries, ladies and gentlemen. 2. There we go. There's my display. Let me know if everybody can see it. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see it? Perfect. Without any further ado, court is now in session. The Honorable Distinguished Toastmaster Kendra Munroe is presiding.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Of course, as Michelle said, it is great to see so many of you here with us tonight. We are excited, and I'm pretty sure that music got everyone pumped up. As we moved into the first slide, we will definitely go into the 3 purposes of the contest. And the first is an opportunity to practice competitive speaking. We're all motivated differently. And of course, most of us are competitive by nature. Speakers who enter the contest, their main purpose is mostly to ensure that they improve themselves in whichever area they are competing in, but ultimately they become great communicators along the way. There's also the interesting educational programs for members and the public. And of course, we know that the public supports us greatly. As speech contest season is upon us, we are excited and we have an opportunity to support our members as they perform at the club, where we get to see who's who, where the talents are, the area, division, and ultimately, once there are adequate judging training and excellent performance by these judges, persons are able to move all the way through to the district. And this gives us the ability to see the talent there. The last one is an opportunity to learn by observing proficient speakers. We all know that we lead by example. And in times when you have individuals speaking, it also inspires others to speak. And of course, and through this great program, we have mentoring. And through mentoring, we develop additional speakers who can take the charge into the next season. Now, these judges have an obligation. Obligations start at the contestants, and it's simply meeting the expectation of our contestants. It removes the guesswork and biased judging process, and this ensures that future contestants are eager to participate in contests in the upcoming seasons. And we don't want to leave anyone feeling that there's an impression that the process was somehow unfair. There's also an obligation to Toastmasters International. And of course, we have set the stage, performing our judges trainings and giving opportunity to our judges and this will ultimately result in the speech contest being executed properly at each level. There is also the obligation to our audience, and the contest starts on time. Once we start on time, it's usually organized, and most importantly, our judges have an opportunity to know what is expected and to be impartial. We do not want the judges or audience to experience anything that can take away from the ultimate contest experience. Judges also have an obligation to themselves. And first of all, if you're considered as a judge, you're a person of integrity. You must continue to commit by giving the best judging throughout the entire process.
One of the things that is so hard for judges to realize, especially if you're a first-time judge, is you are not giving the speakers an evaluation. You are there to choose the best speaker doing the best speech in that moment. The difference between judging and evaluation is the evaluations we do in the club. And we use the cookie technique. We use something fantastic, something to work on to make the speech better next time. And then you follow it up with some good feedback so they want to come back again. Judges are confidential. The judges' decisions cannot be discussed with any of the contestants. Judges, I have seen pull aside somebody after a contest and said, if I were you, I would have done that. You are unfortunately ruining the integrity of the contest. The evaluations happen in the club and have gotten them to that contest. But keep in mind, your voting is for you, the ballot counters, the chief judge, and then the contest Toastmaster who announces it. Nobody else should know what appears on your ballot. Nobody else should know what your opinion is. I know it's really hard for us to keep secrets, especially when we see really good speeches or we want to help somebody. It's in our nature. As a judge, it's your responsibility to keep the integrity of the contest intact. All your decisions have to be kept to yourself. Good judges are, just like we have the core values in Toastmasters, and I know that every single one of you here knows the core values in Toastmasters are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Those apply to every single Toastmaster. And of course, they have to apply to our judges. A good judge is accurate. A judge is going to be filling out the ballot that, if you really stop to think about it, could change a Toastmaster's life. If that vote gets them to the next level, to the next level, and to the next level, especially in the international, they would have contributed to the person who possibly is becoming the world champion of public speaking. Good judges are fair. That goes back to our integrity. Too often, you're put in a position that's, you have to choose. Well, I know that this person has been competing for a long time, has never made it, and this person has been competing for years and wins all the time. So I think it would be better for the one who's never made it before. It is for the best speaker in the moment who gave the best speech. Fairness is so important when it comes to the judging. They don't allow themselves to be impartial. They have to be impartial. They don't allow friendships, affiliations, anything like that impair their judgment. And of course, you have to be sure they're trustworthy. You want to make sure that they've met all the requirements of being a judge. You want to make sure that they don't go back and rethink their ballots and change things after they've already been done. Good judges realize that all contestant participants, they've entrusted them with the responsibility of selecting the best speaker as the winner. They have to live up to that trust. Good judge is knowledgeable. We gave a training not all that long ago to the deck members, and we said the cookbook for a good contest season is the contest rule book. If you want to be a successful judge, learn that rule book. It has everything in there that you will need to become not only a successful contestant, but a successful judge. They know the current contest rules. They study the rules before the contests. They look at what each part of the ballot is taking into account. We'll be getting to that a little further in this training, but they want to make sure they know what's going on because, like we said, the contestants are entrusting their futures to you in this brief period of time. And good judges are good listeners. The worst thing you can see if you are up there as a contestant is see a judge taking a cell phone call or seeing a judge taking some text messages. It's very distracting, one. Two, it means they're not paying attention. And as a contest chair, you just get this sinking feeling that they aren't the people who I thought they were going to be. Good judges listen carefully to each one of the speakers, and they don't let distractions impede their judgment.
Now, we identify that there are some examples of barriers that, of course, can lead to objectivity, and they are as follows. The first is the speaking position. And as a judge, you are not to consider the speaker's position, whether they go first or fifth. As the ballot requirement is the only thing that you are concentrating on, you are looking for the various things as in speech development, effectiveness. Your entire purpose is just to ensure that in that moment that the speech that is before you is being judged accordingly and it meets all of the requirements as indicated on the ballots. Champion for the underdog. There are some scenarios where you'd want to see someone succeed in the program. You think that this person is going to do well. As a judge, you're encouraged to keep all of the outside interference of that presentation outside of your mind. Do not champion for the underdog. It's easy to be distracted in this way, but we can definitely ensure that as judges, you have an obligation as indicated to do the right thing at all times. There's also the halo effect. This person could be the perfect speaker. The judge's mind is already made up. I've seen this person before. They've gone this far throughout the program, in contests especially, and this person may be just held in high esteem. This is a no-no. Please be reminded as a judge, you have the various things that are before you to ensure that you are just judging on criteria for the speech in front of you. Please be reminded of this when you're selecting judges, and also as you, as leaders, have the opportunity to provide judges trainings as well. There's also the reverse halo effect. These speakers cannot catch a break in the eyes of this person. Of course, they're not going to give them their fair and just reward in terms of the judging process. They're not fairly well, I don't want to use the word evaluation because it's not. They're not critiqued fairly in the reverse halo effect. So of course, we would want to stay away from this distraction. There's also second time around. Despite seeing the contestant the last time, maybe it was at a different contest. We must remove personal thoughts and personal biases on the contestant's repeat performance. It goes something like, not John again. Why doesn't he give someone else a chance? This can lead to, of course, after a contestant has invested the time, they are entrusting you to give them a fair and most definitely a correct scoring of this contest. So you most definitely would have to ensure that judges have the ability to remove personal biases out of the way. And of course, we may see speeches that are not the norm. When preparing for a contest, the contestants have the ability to tap into their own personal delivery. Their creativity is heightened at this time. The adrenaline takes over, and of course, they deliver the way that they feel and they've practiced to ensure a win. If it's not your style, remember, refer to the ballot. There's also personal prejudice and personal preference. It is always important to stay objective, despite how the process is moving through in the contest. You have to remove your own. You may feel as though you are comparing, and that is definitely something that you are encouraged not to do. Ensure that you're selecting also judges that do not have this ability. They have the ability to at least stay objective when it comes to the presentation. Thank you, Michelle.
We want to prevent misconceptions from happening. Often people think they know the rules. It's more as an urban myth than the actual rules in the rule book. How often have you heard the contestant goes out of the speaking range and now they're disqualified? Not so much. The contestants are not disqualified for stepping out of the speaking area. You can mark them down in points. That is up to you, but there is no disqualification for stepping out of the zone that is determined before the contest. Also, and especially this year, ladies and gentlemen, please read this rule book because there's been significant changes that are different from the years prior. I'm going to rattle these off very fast for you. Contest chairs, contest masters, chief judges, voting and tie-breaking judges, timers, counters, SSAs, that's Sergeant at Arms in case you're wondering, test speakers, presenters of educational sessions, event committee chairs for the event at which the contest will be held may not compete in the contest at which they are serving in any of these roles. That means beyond a club level, if you are competing, you cannot be a sergeant at arms at another area contest. That means you cannot be a timer at another area contest. You are disqualifying yourself if that happens. And that would be horribly sad because you've worked so very hard, or they have worked so very hard on their speech that they would have to be pulled and they can't go any further. There's other changes in the rule book this year. Make sure you take a glance at them. The new rules in the rule book are highlighted in a little black diamond beside the numbers. They also have a current list of all the changes on the Toastmasters International website when you go to the contest page. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is what you've been waiting for. This is your gavel. You are the judge. Here are your tools. I am also willing to bet that there are judges out there who have never flipped over the back of this page. Ladies and gentlemen, there are descriptions on the front that are very brief. On the back, the judging criteria explains in detail what each section means. And we will go through that a little bit later. But the judge's code of ethics is also listed there. And what happens is when you sign the front of that ballot, you are saying that I am going to make ethical decisions in this contest. I am going to have all those things we are talking about, integrity and respect and fairness, and we're not going to have any of the barriers. There's just those few little lines in the bottom, but that's what that all means. And before we go any further on a ballot, do me and Kendra a favor. When you get one of these pieces of papers, sign and print your name at the very bottom. Because if you don't, it doesn't count. And all the hard work and all the thinking you put into this contest will be for naught. There are very vast different ways to use a judge's guide. Some people use the suggested points. I don't know about you, but there was a reason why I went to circus arts and theater, because I hate math. I hated it. To quickly add up all the points, it drives me a little crazy, and it delays some of the contests by me trying to add up everything so quickly. You can change the points. On my ballots, I do everything by fives. I can manage that very fast. I start with the lowest being 5 points, 10, 15, and 20. That way I can add them up very quickly when I go to turn in my ballot, and nobody's sitting there waiting for me while I take off my sock and I need to count up my toes. Also, when you're pulling out a calculator, it does have a tendency to pull some attention to you. People are like, oh, that is a judge. Do something that's easier for you. Some people don't use numbers at all. Some people use pluses and minuses. You can start at a base, and in the little lines where there's the content or the quality, you can put yes, a plus if they've hit it, or a minus and another minus if they haven't. You add up your pluses and minuses at the end. It's another quick way of totaling up your ballot and being accurate for you. That way, if you are doing your own judging system, and you must be consistent, you can't change that in the middle of the contest, but you're being consistent and you're being accurate. That's all we can ask for a judge. It's a little harder to take notes on the guide when you are face-to-face, but in this virtual world, you can take notes galore. Sometimes I'll have the program and I'll jot down the name of the speech, so hopefully it will jog my memory when I'm doing some of the things later on. But you can take notes anywhere. Just make sure you keep them to yourself. Back to you, Kendra.
Thank you, Michelle. So in the judges category, we'd like to take this opportunity to go through a few things. And we start at content. The judges are taking notes throughout the competition so that you look at the categories, and as a contestant, they're already prepared, knowing exactly what the judges are looking for. So for content, this is 50 points. And the contestant is always prepared for the speech development portion of this, and it leads to the structure and organization. So as a judge, you're looking for clearly defined and for simplicity, opening, body, and conclusion. In effectiveness, did the speech actually achieve its purpose? Was it clearly developed and moved into its purpose of interest? Also, we're looking at the details. Did the speech purpose connect with the title? Speech value, the ideas, the original thought, how the speaker actually presented this. The effectiveness also of the transitions are considered in this entire category. There's also the delivery of the speech. Good judges are looking for body language, hand gestures, the energy that the contestants bring, their voice modulation or volume, their posture, and also contestants are rated high in the area where they are poised throughout the speech, eliminating any nervousness. The manner in which the speech is also conducted carries a lot of points for the area indicated.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of you, Kendra.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I was trying to follow Beth. It's quite all right.
The next is a language. This is where we want to make sure it's appropriate for your audience and it's appropriate for the speech purpose. The audience appropriateness is the language you're choosing, making sure you don't hear anything offensive. You want to make sure that it fits the speech and the occasion of the speech. What about the word choice? Is the word choice going along with the message? Does it help make your message clear? And of course, the correctness is your grammar, your pronunciation, and your word selection. This is almost the same as when we are evaluating in the club. If somebody has that one word that they use 8 times in a speech, they need to work on their word selection a little bit. You may rank them a little lower in that category. When they're blowing you away with big 25 and 50-cent words, you would mark them higher. Appropriateness goes with what the audience is hearing and are they accepting of it? And the correctness is what is coming out of your mouth when you're the contestant. Oh, I guess you guys weren't ready for this, were you? We are going to have a little review of a pop quiz. The good news is we aren't going to collect anything. You're not going to get graded. The bad news is you don't win anything either, except some very, very good tips for the upcoming contest season. First question. What are the 4 reasons for which a contestant may be disqualified? Up until this year, ladies and gentlemen, there were 3. Now there are 4. Don't worry, you don't have to raise your hand. I'll give you the answers. 1, eligibility, meaning you've achieved how many speeches you need to give for the international. You are a paid member of a club in good standing. That gets you through many of the other contests, but for international, you have to have so many speeches accomplished to be eligible to compete. Originality, make sure it's yours. I actually sat through a contest that I heard a Tyler Perry speech be about 75% of the contest speech. Needless to say, it wasn't original. The rules are you can have no more than 25% be somebody else's work. And if you are going to use somebody else, you better give them credit. They must be referenced. Timing, we all know this. If you go above the red and 31 seconds after, you get disqualified. The new one this year, ladies and gentlemen, if you reference another speaker's speech, you are disqualified. Years before, people used to say, oh, that's thinking on my feet. This person did a great international speech, I'll reference them. The moment you reference them, you reference their speech or them in their speech, the speaker is automatically disqualified. I said this before and I'll say this again. What happens if a judge leaves a blank for the 3rd place winner, empty on their ballot? What happens if the judge only prints their name on the ballot and does not sign it? Wah, wah. They're guilty. They're guilty. They're guilty. This is part of the integrity. This is part of the accuracy. If there are 4 people, you have to have 3 people on your ballot. The only ones that list all of them are the tie-breaking judges. If there are 4 people and you forget to put 3rd place, it doesn't count. If there's not a signature on the ballot, it doesn't count. Even if your name is printed, the signature is what makes the ballot count. That is why we say as soon as you get that ballot, make sure you sign it. During a contest, a judge realizes that a contestant's speech is not substantially original. What is the procedure for addressing a protest regarding the originality of the speech? If I was a judge and I heard somebody speaking the Tyler Perry speech like I did, I had to go to the chief judge or the contest chair and let them know why I'm saying that this is not original. What happens then is the judges come together and discuss, and then they pull in the contestant to let the contestant plead their case. If it is an error, then they can go forward. If they find that it's not substantially original, once again, that goes back to why the contestant would be disqualified. But that is the procedure for issuing a protest. Did we lose my Kendra?
Yeah, she got dropped from the call.
Okay, well, we're just going to pretend I'm Judge Kendra right now. What would you do, ladies and gentlemen, if a member approaches a contest official and asks to see the points awarded to the contestants? Obviously, the answer is no. We've had people figure out who a judge is and want to talk to them about their scoring. That has to be kept confidential for the integrity of the contest. The contest results are announced and the contest meeting is adjourned. After this, an individual from the audience complains that judging was unfair. Once the results are announced, that's it. There is no changing. Those are the final results at that moment, and nothing can change, not even a protest from a judge. Once they are announced, that is it. I have seen a contest where the third place was announced as first because they switched it on the ballot. Third place went on to represent at the next level, not the first place. It's very, very important to be very, very accurate. Once again, that could have altered somebody's life in an international contest. They wouldn't have made it up to Worlds if that happened. And in all honesty, an individual from the audience complaining, we all know that everyone is entitled to their opinion. We all have them. The only people who can rage a protest or gauge a protest are the judges, the contest chair, or the chief judge, and that is it. And I know we just threw a whole bunch of information at you, ladies and gentlemen, and you're probably swirling and you'd say, I need another cup of coffee just to make it through the night. You do not have to have everything memorized. There are multiple resources that will help you become the best judge you can be. Like I referred to before, the speech contest rulebook. That is your cookbook for the best contest ever. Read that. The good thing is in District 47, we don't do all the contests, so you don't even have to read the whole book. You can read these sections on the part that we are actually participating in. Tall Tales is very interesting. You can read it if you want, but focus on the evaluation and humorous, then focus on the table topics and international. It's easier to absorb in small doses, trust me. The judges' ballots, you can have them whenever you want. The speakers can have them whenever they want because they're available on the Toastmasters website. If you go to the contest section, the speech contest kits, you can have copies of every single form for every single person who's involved in the contest. This includes the Judges Code of Ethics. This includes the speaker's certification. You can pull the ballots and study them, and you can figure out how you want your scoring to be. They're available to you. If you can't find them, there's an email address right there. If you have more questions, contact us at contests@toastmastersd47.org. That comes to both Kendra and I. We both will see them, we'll respond to you. If you need forms, if you have a question, if something goofy is coming up in your club on a contest, do not be afraid to reach out to us. Or if you think this is bigger than what we can handle, there's world headquarters at speechcontests@toastmasters.org. World headquarters knows and knows and knows everything because they're the ones who wrote the book. If you have any questions that we can't answer, that is who we would be contacting anyways. The difference is we probably will be back to you a little bit faster right now, just because it is world headquarters and everyone in the world is doing contests at the exact same time. I love this quote. I love Simon Sinek. Leadership is about integrity, honesty, and accountability. These are all components of trust. The contestants are trusting your judgment to help them succeed in these contests. We are trusting you as members of District 47 who want to step up into these roles. We are trusting you and your integrity and your honesty and accountability. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to contact us.